In Japan, perhaps 200-300 years ago, there was a Zen monk named Ryokan, very friendly monk and be appreciated by many people. He was with the children working together, playing together, lots of things together, but she had gone through Zen training and came up with some, I think it's wonderful idea. And the video here is about that phrase that I remember quite well. He sent this phrase to his acquaintance in the letter, and it said something like, when you meet a disaster, just meet. When you face death, just face death. Things will happen as it should, and just be natural, be open to it. And I thought about this because in this coronavirus situation, there are lots of things happening, and the things happening for me too. There was some incident that happened, and I was using the computer, and all of a sudden, all the data I input was pretty much gone. This is not usual, but for me at the age 72, it's kind of painful. But at the same time, for some reason, it was not so painful. And I reflected on that because it's going to take another, I don't know, 5-6 hours to recreate the file. So it's not a disaster. But the spirit of facing disaster or imminent situation like death, when it happens, we just accept and be open about it. If we do our best, try our best, okay, there are mistakes happen as human, but when it comes to the point when we have to accept there's no other way, the best thing we do is to accept. As a human, of course, we have an ability to think what could have, what should have, what I should have done before. That's very natural. So I'm not saying that always just accept the situation as it is and then move on. But whenever there's a case that we can trace back to find the cause and effect, why it happened, of course we want to learn the process, how it happened, and learn the lesson so that we don't repeat the mistake. This is obvious, but I think it's important to remember that if we do our best, it's okay if things don't work out. Many other people may be successful in doing this and that, but for each person, it's a different universe, different setting. Each of us are different. Each of us is different in our upbringings and the environment we face and the skills, abilities, and what we can do. So the bottom line I see is that don't punish ourselves if we did our best. Let me just share another thought. When we talk about this acceptance and the learning, this is what I call ten-mei, order from heaven. I was sharing this thought with some companies and shared in my seminars here and there. It's about the word ten-mei, which is order from heaven. And I reflected back my life, and I can see this happening over and over. It's kind of like a man's extremity is God's opportunity. I had a video developed with that title, I think, or about my awakening experience. So the point of this is that we want to have passion to live positively, do our best. I think that to me is the foundation. And with that spirit, we explore, challenge many things. And in the process of challenge, we can make things happen and learn from someone or the book or the internet and use the skill to put those ideas together to make it work. But the growth actually happens, in my view, when it becomes so difficult, for individual growth as a human. And that's when, I guess someone mentioned to me, when things are moving fine, everybody can shine. But when it's difficult, that's when this person would show his worth. He was the named Jerry from Mexico, and this was like 35 years ago when I was working with a company to give advices. And I was impressed by that, and I believe in that kind of thinking. In the difficulty, how to deal with it, that's when our worth, how we shine or not. It's not easy. Maybe nobody's watching or listening or checking what you're doing, but this happens in each person, I'm sure. So when we live our life with a passion and challenge the target what to do and explore things, and sometimes things move on, but that's not when we start to learn more about ourselves. When the barrier, the problem is very big, we have to use all we have, do the best, really do our best in such a situation. And we may succeed or not succeed, but still we don't want to lose the hope, desire, dream, whatever we think is necessary and good for us and hopefully for the others. I talk about may all beings happy. If we can align our desire to make things happen, to make people happy, that's a good way to approach our life. So we challenge and we get defeated, may challenge again and forth. So we learn the lesson. And when we really go through the difficulty, whether it's successful or not, I'm not sure. But if you can actually go through it with some effort and accomplish something, I call it as a moment of awakening or even satori or enlightenment, to know more about ourselves, about the potential. So in this idea of a ten-mei, I mentioned about the passion, the challenge, and to go over the difficulty, I use the word go beyond the conventional belief. Not just borrowing the ideas from others, but we find our own solution for that specific situation and get the opening and go through the process. And I think that's a great moment for growth and the awakening, enlightenment, accomplishment, whatever happens. That would make us to convinced to move forward, and we may go back to help make sure that we have the passion and challenge into the right direction, the desire, the dream, and hopefully tied to the people's happiness, and the challenge again. And more we do this, and more we move forward, and more we learn, we start to see, okay, this is the passage we take. Then I use the word ten-mei. It's order from heaven, that we are there to do something very interesting and important, as if it's not our own desire and view, but also almost like someone, I call the word God, or something that's telling us that this is the way to go. So man's extremity is God's opportunity to speak to us. It's a humble process because our effort cannot go through those challenges, but something happens. Out of nowhere, some power idea may pop up. So all the efforts that was made in the past, even if it was turned out to be a failure and so forth, but kept on going and trying to learn the best we can and trying to synthesize all the activities so that we don't make the same mistakes, but keep challenging ourselves and exploring more ideas and references and friends and the books and any situation, maybe from nature, whatever, from the history, whatever. Then we start to realize, well, this is what I can do, I should do. I want to put my life in this direction and do my best. Then I call it the last point is the happiness. Because if you do your own individual's idea of trying to do something is now finally aligned to, let's call it the God's idea, ten-mei, order from heaven. Then you have much more empowered sense of what you can do and along the line of moving forward. Again, the path may not be as simple, but you have a empowered sense of yourself to self-manage and move forward for that possibly an impossible dream, such as may all beings be happy. So if we get to that, it could be a mini universe. It doesn't have to be everyone to be happy if it doesn't make sense to you, but there may be some reference as to this group of people, this organization, this area, whatever that is. It could be even just cleaning up the area of certain, situations. I wrote a book called The New Shop Floor Management. Everywhere's got the shop floor, and I dedicated the book to say something like, I dedicate this book for those who shed the light in the corners of the world. So we can define our world, or mini world that we operate, find the being, whoever, to contribute, and then develop the passage, way to go forward to achieve that, while we may utilize our best of our ability and energy and the desire to meet that. So back to what I talked about, Ryokan. When we meet a disaster, let's face disaster as it is, because that's nature's event. We're not perfect, and just accept the situation and figure out. It may be like we are looking at ourselves from the third dimension, or fourth dimension, whatever you call it. That if we do it this way, it doesn't work, we go this way, what will be, it's kind of like a game to figure out the way moving forward. And when it's time that there's no way out, as we find in nature that happens, unfortunate situation, sometimes it could be the plant or the fish or the animals or humans, and we see those everywhere if we are attentive about it. And I feel saddened when I see on TV, for example, some of the fight or some of the problem that happens, even this corona epidemic in a poor country, and they have no way out. What do? It's all over the place. More I get older, I feel the pain I have is shared with other people's pain, or even the animals' pain. It's a tough world that many people go through this, and I'm one of them, and I'm pretty sure you may be one of them too. There's not that such a person who is very happy all the time, and if you're happy, you still aim for better, for others to be happy, and you align your work in that direction. I think that's how we can find this, a community of who we are, given the situation, to help each other. It's a little conceptual, perhaps, and too idealistic, perhaps, but still, let's call it, it's my dream, and maybe your dream, to find the passage and not lose the energy. Facing the difficulty, accept it. We are perfect. Definitely, hopefully, we learn, like my case of this problem I had. But it's part of the puzzle. It's bound to happen. If we try to do something, there's always limitation, and we want to go through that. And that's how the human being and every living beings are going through. There's a law of entropy. When things are left alone, things get deteriorated, and we have to keep reinventing our lives, so to speak, to face the challenge and move on. Okay, you can rest and enjoy and look around, enjoy the scenery, whatever. Maybe drink a bottle of beer. I don't know. That's fine. Of course, we cannot just keep on working, but at the same time, given the situation, whatever the situation we have, I hope we keep the spirit and move forward and not lose the energy, the desire, even difficulties that we go through. As I age, things are becoming more and more difficult. Memories and the skills and the muscles and the area that I can challenge. But in my bottom of my spirit, the core of my spirit, I can see that energy still building and the fountain of life is there. So let's figure this out and let's do the best we can, no matter what the situation is, and make this journey interesting, fun, but meaningful for us and for other people. Just a little comment from one man's story, and I hope this has some meaning or value for you to think about. If so, I'm very happy for that. Thank you.